It's finally here, the 2020 NFL Draft. And because of you and popular demand, I'm back with another mock draft. So I know you've waited long enough, so let's just get right into it. Pick number 1, the Cincinnati Bengals. No surprise. They're a terrible franchise, and they lucked out because the Dolphins could have had this player, who, in my opinion, is the second best player in the draft. And that's Joe Burrow, the quarterback out of LSU. He trades one set of stripes for another. Incredible accuracy, can throw on the run, can throw in the pocket awareness, maneuverability, athleticism. Really is incredible what he was able to do last year. He single-handedly made that offense dynamic and won them the national championship. Hopefully he can continue those winning ways with the Bengals. Pick number 2, also no surprise. The Washington Redskins also take an incredible player. My best player in the draft, Chase Young, defensive end, edge rusher out of Ohio State. This guy can do it all. Play the run, rush the passer. He's just a freak. Probably the best overall talent to come out maybe since Jadeveon Clowney a few years ago. This kid's a game changer. Not much else to say. Pick number 3, I have the first trade projected because who knows what's really going to happen, but I'm having fun with it. The Dolphins move up to number 3 with the Lions, who seem to be wanting to move down. Not sure who they're going to take. The Dolphins go ahead and take Justin Herbert, the quarterback out of Oregon. Some people might say Tua. Obviously, the Dolphins need a quarterback. I think Justin Herbert is better than Tua. Spoiler alert, I don't really think Tua is that good. I think he was a product of the Alabama talent and offense around him. Obviously, there's the injury concern. It's not like Tua has a special arm or athleticism or any of those things. He's good, but I wouldn't take him in the top 10 like everyone's been saying for months now. But Justin Herbert out of Oregon needs some coaching up. Interesting decision making, but he's got all the tools: size, arm strength, some athleticism a bit to escape the pocket. Dude's got a cannon, and hopefully with some coaching over the next couple of years, maybe he can sit on the bench for half a season or a full season and develop and grow into that franchise quarterback that the Miami Dolphins have been looking for. Next up, the Giants at pick number 4. They're probably going to address the trenches and offensive tackle, and they get their choice of one, and I have them going with Jedrick Wills, the offensive tackle out of Alabama. I think he's the cleanest tackle prospect with the best feet. Sometimes can overset and get a little lazy, but overall he's as solid as it gets from an offensive line perspective. Played right tackle at Alabama. He may shift to the left side, who knows, but they really got to protect their franchise quarterback now in Daniel Jones and block for Saquon Barkley. Franchise has got a little where to go, but with this pick, hopefully they're trending in the right direction and can have some success in the future. Pick 5, that trade, as I mentioned, with the Lions and the Dolphins. Now that they're at 5, Jeffrey Okudah, the corner out of Ohio State. I'm not as high on Okudah as many claim. Many think he's one of the most elite prospects in this entire draft class. I think he has some outstanding technique, but some stiffness. Obviously, he's got great size, length, speed, just some hip stiffness, and in my opinion, he's the second best guy below a guy we'll talk about later, but still a good player, deserving of a first-round pick, obviously. I'm just not as high on him, but the Lions, who just traded away their best corner in Darius Slay, need to find a replacement. Number 6, the Chargers. Will they go quarterback? I think not. I think ultimately they will take someone that they like in Andrew Thomas, the offensive tackle from Georgia. I'm not as high on him, but he is very good. Extremely athletic, big man, I wish I saw a little more power out of his game, but he is very good in pass protection. Sometimes is a little bit of a waist bender. I would like to see him sink his hips a little bit and reset in pass protection, but he goes up against some really good players in the SEC there, and the Chargers need to find a way to protect their quarterback, who apparently may be Tyrod Taylor, and obviously open up running lanes. Number 7, the Panthers. New head coach, Matt Rule. Who knows what he's going to do? He could trade out. I just think they're going to take the best player available. And for me, that is Isaiah Simmons, the linebacker, safety, hybrid athlete, defensive guy from Clemson. The dude is extremely athletic, instinctual. He can cover, he can blitz, he can stop the run, comes off the edge. Again, he's the third best player in the entire draft, in my opinion. Dude's a freak, blew up the combine. I think the Panthers, the first year, they're just going to be looking for the most dynamic, helpful player they can find, and I think that's Isaiah Simmons. Number 8, I have another trade. The Falcons moving all the way up to number 8 with the Arizona Cardinals, who do not have a second-round draft pick, so they'll be looking to move down. And there's some speculation. There's been some back and forth, some rumors. Who would the Falcons take in this aggressive trade-up mindset that they have? And I have them trading up for C.J. Henderson. There's been some late rumors about them trading up for a defensive lineman, maybe Javon Kinlaw, but they don't have any startable corners at the moment. They got rid of Desmond Trufant. They no longer have Robert Alford, so they have no one in the secondary, and they play in that they're going to be playing against Tom Brady, going to be playing against Drew Brees as always, some really explosive offenses down there in the NFC South, so they need some guys to cover in the pass game. C.J. Henderson, more fluid than Jeffrey Okudah, sometimes gets a little lazy and gets some receivers will run by him and stuff because he is going to play the hitch or whatever and kind of gamble for maybe an interception, eyes in the backfield. But he's physical. He can run. He can play man, off man, press man. He plays zone. I wish Florida used him in some better ways to take advantage of his skill set. But C.J. Henderson, my pick for the Falcons at number 8, trading up with the Arizona Cardinals. Number 9, the Jaguars. Who knows what this organization is doing? They're trying to trade, fire sale all their players. The latest rumors is they're trying to move up for maybe Tua. But I think if they're just sitting there and thinking, looking at the board, they were terrible at stopping the run last year. They didn't play very good defense at all. But I think if they're just trusting the board, they may go Derek Brown, the defensive tackle out of Auburn. I'm not as high on Derek Brown just because of the fact that he doesn't offer a ton of pass rush ability. So you're essentially just getting a 2-down run stuffer. He is really good at that. And not saying he can't rush the passer. It's just not really what he does best. So he is a very good player. He's an athletic big man, super strong, but more of a run stuffer guy. I have him a lot lower than a lot of other people, but he definitely looks like a guy who could go in the top 10 or should go in the top 10 anyway. Number 10. All right, well, the Cleveland Browns on the clock at number 10. You Eagle fans out there, and there's a couple of you, I need to give the people what the people want. And that is a trade, the Eagles moving up to number 10 to take CeeDee Lamb, the wide receiver out of Oklahoma. Not my number one wide receiver, but obviously the dude is a game changer. Lacks that elite speed, but it doesn't matter because he has everything else. Incredible route running, incredible hands, run after catch. The dude can do just about everything. He's a game changer, definitely worthy of a top 10 pick. Eagles apparently aggressive to move up to find a receiver. There's some speculation that they may shock the world on draft night while everyone expects them to take a receiver, and they may go a different direction like a defensive lineman, an edge rusher or something. But that would be strange to me, just because they really are in dire need for wide receiver and help Carson Wentz out. A sure-handed guy, obviously the opposite of Nelson Aguilar. So CeeDee Lamb, Eagle fans, there you go. Number 11, the Jets. I have them going offensive line to open holes for Le'Veon Bell and protect Sam Darnold. Tristan Wirfs, the offensive tackle out of the University of Iowa, blew up the combine, played right tackle. Some think he's best suited inside at guard. Dude's super strong, but he has the athleticism to play tackle. He just needs to get coached up a little bit raw. I think it's a good pick. These offensive tackles are going to come flying off the board early and often. Can't have enough people to rush the passer, and can't have enough quality people on the edges to protect the passer. So Jets need to improve their blocking. Tristan Wirfs, offensive tackle out of Iowa. 12, the Raiders. Henry Ruggs, the second receiver to come off the board. I think they may prefer CeeDee Lamb, but Henry Ruggs has that elite speed, that 4.2 speed that the NFL is looking for. Can't coach that. Obviously, a guy like Tyreek Hill, you see all these. The NFL is just looking for more speed. That's how you win games, both on defense and on offense. And I think with the failed experiment of Antonio Brown, the Raiders will be looking, and John Gruden specifically, will be looking for someone to take the top off the defense, and that's Henry Ruggs. Number 13, the 49ers. Speculation, they want to trade away some guys, but I just think they may want a receiver, and Jerry Jeudy, in my opinion, is the best receiver in the draft. Wide receiver out of Alabama. His route running is so elite, it's ridiculous. I think a better version with more work ethic than Amari Cooper was coming out of Alabama. Amari Cooper, I'm not sure how much he likes football, but I think Jerry Jeudy is just one of those football geeks, and his route, he doesn't have that elite speed, but again, that route running is incredible. Not like the size, speed, freak athlete like a Julio Jones, but he has enough size and enough speed to separate, and I think he would fit well in Kyle Shanahan's offense, which I'm not thrilled about as a current Rams fan. 14, the Buccaneers, the Tom Brady and Robert Gronkowski Buccaneers. They want to protect Tom Brady and open up running lanes. They should anyway. And Mekhi Becton, the offensive tackle out of Louisville, is the guy I think they may go after. This dude is a massive human being, also incredibly athletic, but also incredibly raw. Needs some refinement, some sloppy footwork, but there is no stronger player in this draft than Mekhi Becton. It's just incredibly kind of embarrassing what he does to defensive linemen. Needs some help in pass protection, but maybe he can move to the right side and then eventually move to the left side. But either way, the Bucs are building something down there in Tampa, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. Mekhi Becton, the offensive tackle out of Louisville. 15, the Broncos. I guess they're going to stay put. They want Henry Ruggs, but there's no way. I would be surprised if Henry Ruggs made it that far to 15. So in this case, I have him taking another speed guy, Jalen Reagor, the wide receiver out of TCU. I have Reagor ranked higher than Henry Ruggs, even though he didn't run that 4.2 at the 40, didn't have a great combine, but when you watch his tape, he's explosive, fast, twitchy, great hands, run after catch. He's strong. I think he's going to be a special player. Pair him up with Drew Lock, who's got a cannon, and Sutton on the outside, a bigger wide receiver who can get contested catches. I think if Denver goes this way and John Elway doesn't completely ruin it, they are building something special in Denver. 16, that trade, the Cardinals moving down. With the Falcons, I have the Cardinals need to protect Kyler Murray, open up running lanes for Kenyon Drake, and I have them going with Josh Jones, the offensive tackle out of Houston. Also, Raw needs to improve his strength and run blocking, but as far as pass protection goes, he's pretty darn good. Got really quick feet, good pass set. So, and I mean that's what they're gonna do down, or rather, I should say, out west in Arizona. They're gonna go. They spread you out with a bunch of receivers. Just traded for DeAndre Hopkins. So, I mean, you got to protect Kyler Murray. And if you're only going to have 5 and 6 man protections, not going to play with any tight ends and or a fullback to give you options to pick up blitzers and that sort of thing. You got to be able to block up front, and Josh Jones is going to help them do that. Cowboys 17. This is kind of an interesting spot in the draft, but right now I have them going. This name is not easy. K'Lavon Chaisson. I don't know if I pronounced that properly, but the edge rusher out of LSU. He's a little light, so he's an edge rushing stand-up linebacker, but not great against the run, but he does rush the passer. He is extremely athletic. I mean, in terms of just raw talent and tools to work with, great size, speed, athleticism. Got some different pass rush moves. If he was bigger and could play the run a little better, he'd be a top 10 player all day. But the Cowboys are looking at edge rushers and DBs, so they could go his teammate from LSU, Christian Fulton. A number of different corners are going to start coming off the board at this point, but as of right now, I think the value and what they're looking at, Chaison's going to be the guy at 17 for the Cowboys. 18, Dolphins, back on the clock again. Think they went ahead and got their quarterback, and now they're going to look for offensive line help to protect him and open up running lanes. Their offense was abysmal last year, and they're going to play against the Patriots, obviously, twice a year, as they always do. And if they're going to do that, they need to score some points. And Ryan Fitzmagic is running out, so they need to be able to protect whoever's going to play quarterback. In this case, it would be Justin Herbert. I have them going with Isaiah Wilson, the offensive tackle out of Georgia. He played right tackle at Georgia. A lot better in the run game than he is in pass protection. But apparently there's some buzz that this guy's moving up boards, and he very well could go in the second round, but there's also a chance he could sneak in the first round. And the Dolphins, you never know what they're going to do. In this case, I have them reaching for a guy like that. Still really, really good, in my opinion. A little underrated maybe, but 18 is a good spot for him with the Dolphins. 19, the Raiders back on the clock again. Kenneth Murray, linebacker out of Oklahoma. He deserves to go in the top 10 in my opinion, but apparently the league may not see it that way. This kid's a stud. Size, speed, everything you could want. Sideline to sideline tackling. He's aggressive. He can play coverage. I mean, he is fast. Anything on the perimeter, he's chasing it down and tackling it. He's just a playmaker, a baller, a kid that I love. So I think he would be a real good fit for what Gruden is building in now Las Vegas Raiders. I think it's just so ingrained that it's Oakland Raiders, but Las Vegas Raiders, kind of weird, but they want tough physical football players with really good character. So I think Kenneth Murray fits the bill. 20, the Jacksonville Jaguars, back on the clock again. This is where Tua is going to go, I think. It's a shot in the dark, but I just think medicals and other things may push Tua down, and there's only so long you could have Minshew as your quarterback if you want to win any kind of games. He won some games last year, but he's not an elite guy. Maybe that mustache is elite, but that's about it. So again, I don't love Tua. I think he's like a second, third round guy. I think the talent at Alabama helped him win games. Lacks that elite arm strength. It's not like he's got great size. He's 6 foot. Obviously had the hip injury. So it's not like, there are some durability concerns. Didn't score a great Wonderlic test, and I know the Wonderlic isn't a great measurement of anything, but for a quarterback, it's pretty important that you're highly intelligent. So some questions there. I don't know. I'm just not a huge fan of Tua, but the Jacksonville Jaguars at number 20, this is kind of where I think the range he should go or could go. All right. 21, the trade down for the Eagles. The Browns are on the clock. Ezra Cleveland, kind of ironic that a man with the last name of Cleveland gets taken by the Cleveland Browns. Apparently, there's some really recent late buzz for this guy. The Browns apparently love him. So do other players like the Dolphins and the Vikings and all this sort of thing. But he's okay, in my opinion. Footwork isn't great. He is a big man, and he tested really well at the combine. But Cleveland looking to upgrade the offensive line and help the run game and the pass game, and Baker Mayfield, who let's face it, they might as well just figure out a new solution because Baker's not it, in my opinion. Maybe he'll prove me wrong this season, but I would be surprised. He was one of the worst players in the NFL last year to start. But Ezra Cleveland, the offensive tackle out of Boise State. 22, Vikings. Javon Kinlaw, defensive lineman out of South Carolina, defensive tackle, that pass rushing, interior penetrating talent that the NFL loves these days with Aaron Donald. I think he could and should go much higher than this. But the way the draft mock draft kind of falls, I have him going 22 to the Vikings here. Again, he could go much earlier than this because he's one of my favorite prospects. I think a top 10 talent I have him recorded as. But he's going to offer you run-stopping ability, maybe not as much as Derek Brown, but he can get after the passer from the interior, disrupt things, cause a whole bunch of havoc. He's a tremendous player and a good fit for Zimmer's defense. 23, the Patriots. Patriots are always trading, who knows, and they're always taking players that people don't expect, so who knows, but obviously he has a relationship with Nick Saban, and he loves DBs that can play multiple positions, and Xavier McKinney, safety out of Alabama, is one of those guys. He's a second-round guy, in my opinion, but again, he would be a great fit for Belichick's defense. He could play in the slot, play in the box, stop the run. He's physical. He's got enough speed. He can play in the back end, play some man. He can blitz. He can do a lot of different things, and it would be a good fit for Bill Belichick there in New England. 24, the Saints. There's talk of them moving up for a receiver. I have them taking Justin Jefferson, the wide receiver out of LSU, who I like a lot. Again, not elite speed, but you saw it with LSU and Joe Burrow playing. Runs great routes, great hands, good run after the catch. He's quick. He has enough speed, enough size to make things happen. He's just a really, really good wide receiver and football player. He could go earlier than this, but I think it would be a good fit. A Louisiana kid, staying in Louisiana, playing for New Orleans, Drew Brees. Give Drew another option other than Michael Thomas to throw to. 25, Vikings back on the clock. Jalen Johnson, the corner out of Utah. Zimmer loves corners. They need some corners. Got rid of Rhodes. They don't really have many guys, so they're going to take a corner. Probably with one of those two picks. It's just a matter of who they like most or who Zimmer likes most. Jalen Johnson, corner out of Utah. Excellent size, athleticism, extremely fluid. Just some rawness to his game. Needs to clean up some technique. Gets a little handsy. Has some ball skills, some scheme versatility. Can play some man. I think he's better in zone, cover 2, and cover 3. He's really long. Again, an athletic. He can make a lot of plays, and I think it's what Zimmer would be looking for out of a corner. 26, Dolphins back on the clock. Finally get a running back who can actually play football. DeAndre Swift, who is closely, I think, the favorite to go first out of the running backs. Slightly the best running back in the class. If you're looking for a zone scheme or any kind of scheme, quite honestly, but decent size, really good speed, not elite speed, but he just has great vision, instincts. He's always running, churning the legs after contact. He's never going down on first contact, always falling forward, can catch the ball. Not a great receiver out of the backfield, but he'll do the job. And this is a guy who could be a franchise running back for the Dolphins. Dolphins got their franchise quarterback, franchise running back now and an offensive lineman to help open up running lanes and protect the passer. Hopefully their offense will at least be watchable next year. 27, the Seahawks, another candidate to likely trade out. The Seahawks never really stay put, but if they do at 27, again, it's just kind of hard to predict trades this late, but Seahawks likely to trade. If they stay put, though, Trevon Diggs, Stephon Diggs' brother, corner out of Alabama, in my opinion, is the best corner in the draft. A little bit raw, needs some refinement on his technique, but if you're just talking about physical ability, this kid has everything you want. Ball skills, instincts, athleticism, far more, the most fluid corner in the entire draft. Incredible size, was a converted wide receiver. Obviously, his brother plays receiver in the NFL. Really good speed. I don't know. I just think with some coaching in about 2 to 3 years, you're going to be looking at this guy as potentially one of the top 5 corners in the NFL. Trevon Diggs, a corner out of Alabama, in this case going to Seattle, which I wouldn't love. 28, the Ravens, a candidate to move up, move down. Who knows what direction they'll go. They usually just stay put and take the best player available, typically going on defense. I have them taking Patrick Queen, the linebacker out of LSU. I'm not as high as him. I think he's a second or third round guy, but he is extremely athletic, struggles sometimes against the run. But in terms of a coverage linebacker, and he can play the run, it's not that he can't. That's not what he does well. What he does well is coverage, but I think he will fit really well there in Baltimore, who usually drafts athletic, physical football players out of the SEC. Patrick Queen, linebacker out of LSU. 29, the Titans. I think they're looking for offensive line or corner. I have them going with corner Christian Fulton, the corner out of LSU. I have him, this is about the right range, maybe a little higher for me. He's got good size, good speed, has some issues with ball skills. Sometimes will get had on double moves and things like that, but he is a first-round talent, and he showed it. LSU has a lot of really good defenders there, fast, athletic guys, and the kind of guy that Mike Vrabel would be looking for in Tennessee to pair up with Adoree Jackson. 30, the Packers, getting the home stretch here, folks. Packers probably looking for linebacker, offensive line, and wide receiver. They got to get someone other than Devontae Adams to be able to catch the football. I have Brandon Ayuk, the wide receiver out of Arizona State. I don't love him. I think he's okay. Good speed. He's got some quickness, lacks that elite size, but runs some good routes. He's got some decent hands. I think he's more of a second or third round guy as well, but apparently the league loves him, and he'll probably go in the first round late in this range. I would take guys like Pittman or T. Higgins and other guys ahead of him, Denzel Mims, but Ayuk, apparently a guy that the league is in love with, and the Packers need some help at receiver. 31. Someone's going to trade up into these last few spots. The Niners desperately looking to trade out because they don't have many draft picks in total. They do have 2 first-round picks, but after that, they don't have a whole lot. So they will be looking to move back with one of those picks. Someone will always look to move up into these last few picks because with any first-round pick, you do get that extra year on the contract, and those cheap rookie contracts are what the teams want. So someone will trade up, whether it's for a quarterback or offensive lineman, something. But I have the Chargers moving up for Jonathan Taylor, the running back out of Wisconsin. I think I view him higher than a lot of people. Blew up the combine, obviously uber productive at Wisconsin. Not great in a zone running scheme, best in a power man gap scheme, which obviously the Chargers love to do. Chargers got rid of Melvin Gordon, another Wisconsin Badger. Obviously they re-signed Eckler, but Eckler's not a guy who can carry the load. They need to find someone to be their bell cow now and in the future, and that's Jonathan Taylor. Chiefs pick 32. Last one, A.J. Terrell, corner out of Clemson. Andy Reid likes to bolster up the defensive and offensive line, the trenches, but They got rid of Kendall Fuller, their corner. They need some help playing pass defense. Obviously, they were able to beat the 49ers in the Super Bowl, but Jimmy Garoppolo, I think that was more of a failure on his part rather than the Chiefs playing good defense. They played okay defense, but the Chiefs not great defensively, especially on the back end. So I think they could be looking for defensive backs here. And A.J. Terrell, the corner out of Clemson, who I'm kind of lukewarm on, probably a second-round guy for me. But he did play well. He is athletic. He's long. Just kind of lacks some elite speed, so receivers can separate from him, and that elite fluidness in the hips. But he's not a bad player. So the Chiefs, A.J. Terrell. And with that, hope you enjoyed it. Hope it was worth the wait. Hope I didn't disappoint you. Please stay safe during this quarantine. I appreciate all of you as friends, and we'll get through this together, and happy drafting.